now be recorded.
Which requires in-depth knowledge about the subject, results, and systematic studies about the methods, examination, facts, market, development about the market, and analysis. So we should know about what are the methods and methodology used in the research. So first of all, we should know there are little bit differences between the methodology and method. So this webinar is on the research methodology. So we should focus little part on the research methodology and some conceptuals concept used in the parametric and non-parametric test. Methodology is the study of the general approach to inquiry in a given field, while method is the specific technique, tools, or procedure applied to achieve a given objective. So there is little bit difference between the methodology and the method, and in the social science, but in general, and in the field of economics in the particularly, with various type of the statistical tools like regression, observation research, survey, data, mathematical analysis. Before diving in depth or going in depth, we should know there is a little bit difference between the mathematics and statistics. Mathematics teaches about the exactness of the result, while the statistics deals with the approximate value. We do not reach to the exact value like the mathematics deals. So writing the thesis, writing the project synopsis, we have to pass through various steps. So first of all, we should know about the what are the steps. These steps are the project design, data acquisition, then data analysis, and finally we recommend some strategy. So project design evaluate the situation requirement, competencies, and the resources, and finalize the scope design and research projects. The second step is the data acquisition, and this data acquisition we can have either primary sources of the data or the secondary sources of the data. You are well known about the primary and the secondary sources of the data. So third step is the data analysis, how the data will be analyzed. It needs to be organized, verified, tabulate, and so on. And what are the statistical tools required for the data analysis? So we shall deal with in the data analysis case that will be related with the parametric and non-parametric test. And finally, the last step for the thesis, writing the thesis or the project or the synopsis is related with the suggestion, and that is the strategic formulation. So analysis part of the thesis of the parametric and non-parametric will require various concepts like quantitative and qualitative data. Earlier speaker have also dealt about the quantitative and qualitative data. So some little bit differences between the quantitative and qualitative data. The goal of the quantitative data is discovering facts, explanation, or causation. while the goal of the qualitative data is learn what people are doing and why they are doing it from the participant's perspective, focus, and meaning. The research question also vary between the quantitative and qualitative data. Research question shows what, when, where, and who. Related question in the quantitative, while we deal with the how and why question in the explanatory part of the qualitative data. So in the quantitative data, large number of the people participate, or while in the qualitative data, generally a smaller group of the people participates. So these are the differences. And in the data points for the quantitative is the measurable data achieved by a survey, as we have already talked about, while the qualitative needs words, behaviors, or visual collected through participation, observation, or interview to enhance understanding. So finally, we reach to the analysis. This needs a statistical method, and it requires data analyzed by the theme. Data is categorized into patterns. So these are the two aspects, quantitative and qualitative aspects, that will be used for the parametric and non-parametric analysis. You are well aware of how to reach to the sample. So journey of the sample, it has been shown in the figure. So it is the inverse. Inverse is generally theoretical target of the population. We deal with the theory. And in the case of the population, we reach to the empirical target. And from population, we take some data that is known as a sample. So sample can be defined as a subset of a population. So what is the population? Population is a specified group of the similar objects. It could be individual or entities, but all of them must have a common observable characteristics. So this is the population. Different color of the person has been shown, and from this population we take sample, and from sample we get inferences about the characteristics of the population. So we try to reach the parameter of the population, and from the characteristics we generally take the some qualities of the population with the help of the sample. So we can say the population, targeted population, and the sample. So sample is the subset of the population. So very small proportion or size of the population is taken as a sample, but there are different types of the population. It could be finite, infinite, it could be the real or hypothetical. Any type of the population can be taken. Finite is countable, infinite is uncountable, and mixed of two is the real or true. Even imaginary population can be taken. A possible outcome of rolling of the die n times, that is the hypothetical population. Sample must be representative, because sample is the subset of the population, and it must follow rule or plan to reach to the characteristics of the population. So it must be well representative, homogeneity, adequacy, independency, and regulatory condition. So all these 5 criteria must be there in the sample to have the data result. As I have already told that it is the part of the statistics, not the mathematics. Mathematics tells about the exact result, and simple statistic talks about the approximate result. So if sample is well representative or carrying all these 5 characteristics, we can have approximate characteristics of the population, so we can reach their almost good characteristics of the population with the help of the sample. So there are some differences in the population and the sample. The measurable quality is called a parameter, and in this case it is known as a statistic. It is the population is almost is a complete set because all number is counted in the sample. A very small or subset of the population is counted, and reports are true representation of the opinion because all data are covered because it is a complete set. And in the sample or the reports have a margin of error and confidence because data are taken from the population, and we can have some error, and there are different types of the error that will be discussed in the later part of the discussion. And the population, it contains all member of the specific group, while sample is just a subset, and sample per sample has some errors. Sample mean and population mean. Population mean represented by mu, while sample mean is represented by x bar. These are the differences. So sample mean is the arithmetic mean of a small sample data drawn from a population. Because sample mean is the mean of the sample and population mean is the mean of the population. So it is represented by mu. Both are different, and total number of the data selected in the sample, that is represented by a small n, and in this case the total number of the observation in the population is represented by capital N. These are the major differences between two. It is represented by x bar, it is represented by mu, it is represented by n, small n, and population mean is represented by capital N, and a standard deviation is represented by mu, and its sample mean is a standard deviation of the sample data is represented by SD. So we have talked about the sampling, and this sample consists some error. Earlier speaker had also talked about the sampling error, a standard error, type 1 and type 2 error. Even then we shall focus some time, we shall give some time on the error. So sampling error is just a difference between the parametric value and is estimated derived from the sample. It arrives when only a part of the population is to estimate. So sampling error comes from the sample. As we reach to the population from a small n to the capital N, in other way we can say when the number of the observation or the sample size is increased, sampling error may be reduced, and we reach to the population and capital N, from n small n to capital N, there will be no error. Non-sampling error. Non-sampling error is associated with the stages of the data collection of the units, planning of the survey, defining terms, training of interview. Reducing of non-sampling error, it is just reduced by supervision or increasing efficiency, training of the training given to the surveyor or data collecting people, and providing the better equipments and tools to the people who are engaged in the collecting data. So a standard error and the sampling error just difference. So a standard deviation of the data is sampling distribution is called a standard error. The difference between the parametric and estimated derived from the sample is called sampling error. Earlier speaker has also talked about the type 1 and type 2 error. So we have null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis is represented by capital H subscript O 0, and it could be true or the false, and whether it can be accepted or rejected. When true null hypothesis is rejected, that is represented by alpha, and this alpha is nothing but the type 1 error. So rejecting the type 1 error. So it can be said that the probability of rejecting the type 1 error represent alpha, and 1 minus alpha. That is nothing but the level of the confidence. So it has been shown as a type 1. Type 2 error is when the null hypothesis is false, but it is null hypothesis is true, but it is rejected. But which one will be more powerful? 1 minus alpha or 1 minus beta? 1 minus alpha will be more powerful than 1 minus beta, because that is true but accepted. 1 minus alpha, 1 minus beta. So that is it is related with type 1 and type 2 errors. As we have already discussed about the type 1 and type 2 error, null hypothesis, that is the true or the false. Test does not reject, test reject. In the both cases happen rejection and acceptance. So when null hypothesis is true but rejected, that will be the type 1 error. When null hypothesis is true and not rejected, that is the correct decision. When null hypothesis is false but rejected, that is the correct decision. So in both the cases, there is the correct decision. And type 2 error is associated with when null hypothesis is false, not rejected. False but not rejected. Let's talk about the level of significance and confidence. The probability with which we will reject a null hypothesis when it is true is the level of significance that we have already discussed. And level of significance and level of confidence, when we shall add both, it will come to the 100%. So it is the 1%, 5% level of significance, means possibility of the error in the data. So remaining part will be the confidence. So normal distribution. Normal distribution is generally is the basic point of the parametric metric discussion. So we are now going to the going in depth in the parametric and non-parametric test. So let's talk about the normal distribution. So its shape is the bell shaped as shown in the graph. Its shape is the bell shape, and it doesn't touch on the x-axis. Here, mean, median, mode, all are equal in the middle of it. So 50% data is debited in the left and the right side. So 1 plus 1 standard deviation from the mu covers 68% of data, and 2 a standard deviation covers 95%, and 3 mu plus 3 standard deviation covers 99.7% of the data. So properties of the normal distribution: it is bell shaped, as we have discussed. It is bilateral symmetrical. it is bilateral symmetrical. Suppose this is the mirror image. Left side is the mirror image of the right side of the bell-shaped curve, and the right side is the mirror image of the left side. So is this bilateral symmetrical, and point of coincidence at the point of mu shows this mu shows point of coincidence when mean, median, mode all are equal. And area under the curve is the 100%. So mean deviation will be 0 and standard deviation will be 1. So it is represented by N01. Point of inflection. Point of inflection. The bell shape, upper part of the bell shape convex or lower side is concave. So when from convex side it turns over to the concave, that shows the point of inflection. So point of inflection has been point of inflection can be generally treated as 1 mu plus 1 into a standard deviation that covers 68%. So point of inflection is 0. So similarly, here it will be mu plus 2 into a standard deviation, and here will be mu plus 3 into a standard deviation. So these are the point of inflection when convexity turns into the concavity. The tail never touches. So these are the basic characteristics of the normal distribution, and this normal distribution can is generally in the parametric. Let us talk other concepts that are the skewed distribution. This is known as a golden rule. Golden rule of this gold in the case of the golden overweight, and the more frequency it is to the right, and in this case mode will be greater than median, and median will be greater than mean. While in the case of the positive direction, then mean will be greater than median, and median will be greater than mode. So these are the two directions of the skewed distribution: estimation and hypothesis. Earlier speaker has also talked about the estimation and hypothesis. So we are neglecting at this point. Let us talk about the research hypothesis and null hypothesis. So let's take an example. Paddy yield depends positively on fertilizer applied. When fertilizer is applied on the paddy to get the productivity, so we have to take the research question, research hypothesis, whether the paddy yield depends positively on fertilizer. But in the case of the null hypothesis, that has to be tested. Null hypothesis has to be tested. So paddy yield has no relationship at all with fertilizer applied. It means fertilizer has no effect on the productivity of the paddy. That will be known as a null hypothesis, and this null hypothesis has to be tested. Now we are reaching towards the parametric and non-parametric test. We have already talked about the null hypothesis, and this null hypothesis has to be tested and whether it will be significant. So there are two methods of testing the statistical significance of the null hypothesis. So these are the parametric and the non-parametric. Parametric tests are applied where there is a normal distribution. We have already talked about what is the normal distribution. While non-parametric tests are applied in skewed distribution. So we have already discussed about normal distribution and skewed distribution. Parametric test is applied quantitative data, and non-parametric test is applied in the qualitative data. We have also discussed about the qualitative and quantitative data. A scale of measurement is a numerical scale. In the case of the parametric and the case of non-parametric is the nominal or ordinal means that can be ranked only, smaller than or larger than, and nominal fail or pass. Fail can be represented by 2 and pass can be represented by 1. So that is the nominal. It has been given name. Nominal means it has been just given name. Ordinal means that has to be ranked. And the parameter where mean data is given, and non-parametric data where the proportion, percentage, or median value is given. If we compare between the parametric and non-parametric test, then parametric test will be more powerful, while non-parametric test will be less powerful. So we can say that the parametric test assumes normal distribution, and in the case non-parametric test, we do not know what is the type of the distribution of the data. What type of the tests are applied? The parametric test and non-parametric test. In the case of the parametric test, we apply paired t-test. And just its alternative, it is not the substitute, but it is the alternative applied in the non-parametric case, that is the sign test. It means when we have paired data, we shall discuss about the pair and unpaired data. When there is a paired data, but we are giving mean value, then we shall use t-test in the parametric. That will be known as a parametric test. Paired data is given and the mean is given. When paired data is given, but that is the ordinal or nominal, in that case, sign test will be applied in the non-parametric. It means non-parametric case, the non-parametric case, null hypothesis is tested by sign test in the case of the paired data, while in the parametric test, it is tested by t-test. When data is unpaired in the parametric test, then we apply t-test, that is known as the unpaired t-test. But in the case of the non-parametric, we apply Mann-Whitney test. Thus, these are just corresponding t-test, sign test. In the parametric, it is represented by sign test. In the non-parametric, we represent it sign test, and the parametric we represent by t-test. In the parametric test, NY is applied, here chi-square is applied. In the parametric test, Pearson correlation coefficient is applied. And the non-parametric test, we apply a Spearman correlation coefficient. In the parametric linear regression, as Dr. Subhash has discussed in details about the linear regression, and the non-parametric, we talk about the logistic regression. So these are the basic differences between the parametric and non-parametric test, and these tests are not substitute of one each other, but they are just alternative, as we have discussed. Let's take some examples of both the parametric and non-parametric test. Suppose a new drug is to be launched, and this drug is associated with the weight loss. So a new drug for weight loss was being tested on 10%, and mean weight of these people was 100 kg before test. After taking drug, the mean weight of these 100 people became, these 10 people became 60 kg. So here mean weight is given. Here mean weight is given. That's why we use paired t-test, because it is the paired data. How will you know the paired data? The sample is same of the 10 people before and after the drug. Same sample has been taken. So that is dependent. But when we see that a new drug for weight loss was being tested on 6 boys and 4 girls. Here we have taken, in the case of the previous one, only 10%. We have not divided in male and female, girls and boys. But in unpaired case, we have divided into girls and boys, male and female. And here is also given the mean weight of these people, 100 kg. And after taking drug, it becomes 60 kg. It is unpaired test, paired and unpaired test. Example of the parametric test we have already discussed. The t-test type, paired and unpaired. So as just now we discussed, the paired t-test and unpaired t-test in the parametric test. So definition is a statistical test used to determine if there is a significant difference between the mean of the two dependent samples, means before drug and after drug sample is same, so these are dependent, and in the unpaired sample is independent. Relationship between the group exists in the paired test, unpaired no, because they are independent, and equal variance between the group, there is no equal variance, and in the unpaired there is the equal variance. Example of non-parametric test. A new drug was tested on 200 people for 3 months. 40% were diabetic before taking drug, and after taking drugs, its result came to the 10%. So what type of the test will be applied? Because it has been given in the percentage term, that's why we shall use a non-parametric test, that is known as sign risk rank test. And in the similar case, when the new drug was tested on 200 people, 300 for 3 months, but in this case 50% of the boys and 60% of the girls were tested diabetic. So in this case, the total population has been divided. So it will be the non-parametric because of the as it has been divided into the group. In this group, Mann-Whitney U test will be applied. So non-parametric test, it could be applied for the one sample, In the case of the one sample, that will be the sign test or with Coxon sign rank test. And we have given two independent sample, Mann-Whitney rank sum test will be applied. Let's take more example on the non-parametric, that is known as the sign test. So blood test was taken for the 10 people. This is just example. It is the percentage hemoglobin present in the blood, and median is taken 13%. It is taken in the percentage term. So we are applying the sign test. So difference between this given data, collected data, and the median is written here. So in the first case, the difference is minus 0.7. Here is plus 0.1, minus 1.7, minus 2.9, 1.0. It has been deviated from the median, that is 13. That is 13. So we are taking absolute value of this one. So absolute difference will be just a positive value of this one, and rank has been given to this absolute difference. So this one is the smallest one, 0.1. So it has been given rank 1, rank 0.3, rank 2, and 0.7 and 0.7, we have two data. So it has been divided, so 3.5 and 3.5. And ultimately we shall reaching a signed rank, because here it is negative. So rank will be negative. Here one is the positive. So rank will be positive. 1.7 is negative differences. So rank will be also negative. So we shall now add all positive signed rank data and all negative signed rank data. So we have shown here sum total of signed rank data is 47, and sum total of positive signed rank is 8. So we have to take positive, a smaller one. This is the 47, and this one is the 8. And sample size is given 10. So calculated value is 8 here. Calculated value is given 8, and it has to be compared with the Wilcoxon signed rank table, because in this table critical value is given. Critical value is 10 in this case, but the calculated value is 8. At the 5% level of significance, 8 is smaller than 10. Mann-Whitney test. So research question in this case is there evidence of difference in median hemoglobin level of male and female? We have two groups, male and female, two sample size data in the given data. So female, this is the sample size is 10 for female, and for male the sample size is 8. We are giving rank in this case. So 10.1 is the smallest one, so it has been allotted rank 1. 10.5 is the second lowest, so it has been given 2. And 3 has been assigned to the 10.8 in the case of the male. So we have taken all together data, both the male and female, in the Mann-Whitney test. So 3 rank has been assigned to this one, to the male for 10.8 and 10.9 in the 4. In the similar way, rank had been assigned taking collective data for both the male and female. So the rank has been allotted from 1 to 18, because total number of the sample size is 18. Taking all together both the male and female, sum of the rank for the female it is 86, or the male is 85. So 85 is the smaller one. So 85 is selected in this case. So now we have to calculate expected value. The formula is given for the expected value, half of NM, and this one. By applying through this formula, we got 76 expected value for this sample. So null hypothesis will be rejected, because in this case calculated value in this case 85, calculated expected value 76 is smaller than the critical value. But when data will be the large, that will be the reverse. This is the skew test, and the data will be large, that will be converted into the normal distribution. In that case, the criteria will be adopted different way. Let us take some parametric test, t-test. It has been already discussed by the previous speaker, so we are not to go in the different t-test, f-test like that. So here we are just taking one example. X1 and X2 are the two variable. X1 we are applying fertilizer on the agriculture productivity. So X2 is the fertilizer, X1 is the agriculture productivity. Mean, standard deviation and variance has been calculated, and we have to calculate t value. So in this case, t value is coming just 2.3, while the table value of the value is 2.04. So calculated value is more than that of the t value. In this case, therefore, calculated value is more than the table value. So null hypothesis will be rejected and alternate hypothesis will be accepted. It makes sense that fertilizer makes effect on the productivity. So this is the parametric test, and we have already discussed non-parametric test. So now we are stopping here. And I think we have already covered almost parametric and non-parametric test. So we are stopping here. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for a nice lecture. And for question answer session, I would like to invite Dr. Raghavendra and Dr. Arvind.
Yeah.
Dr. Raghavendra.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please, Raghavendra sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
एक क्वेश्चन है,
हाँ बोलिए.
डिफरेंस बिटवीन पैरामेट्रिक एंड नॉन पैरामेट्रिक.
हाँ, दिस टेबल. हाँ बोलिए.
इन्होंने पूछा है कि डिफरेंस बिटवीन पैरामेट्रिक एंड नॉन पैरामेट्रिक.
तो हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. पैरामेट्रिक नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए होता है. बेल शेप अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, एजम्पशन लेना है दोनों केस में. नॉन पैरामेट्रिक लेना है. टेबल नंबर 30 हम लोग डिस्कस किए हुए हैं ऑलरेडी. इतने सारे डिफरेंस दिए.
हाँ सर, कोई क्वेश्चन तो ड्रॉप बॉक्स में आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में क्वेश्चन डालिए. अभी तक तो किसी का क्वेश्चन नहीं दिख रहा है.
सर मेरे ख्याल से सबको बहुत अच्छे से समझ में आ गया है, इसलिए किसी ने डाला नहीं है क्वेश्चन.
सर appreciation है, very simple and clear lecture, very informative lecture. appreciation है.
कोई क्वेश्चन बचा नहीं है सर, इसीलिए।
आपने सर बहुत अच्छे से इसको क्लियर किया।
चलिए, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू पूनम मैम, विनीता मैम, डॉक्टर क्रांति जी, राघवेंद्र जी।
थैंक यू सर।
Now for formal vote of thanks, I would invite Dr. Vinita Lal. Sir,
Thank you,
one
Doctor.
more appreciation. I think you can see also it is very clear, sir, no doubt.
Oh, so nice. Thank you.
Yes, please, Dr. Vinita Lal.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my pleasure to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this session. I, on behalf of our college and team, extend to very hearty vote of thanks to the Honorable Sir, who has been delivered very interesting, informative content. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, sir. I personally appreciated your approach, and the subject intrigues me, and I plan to learn more. Your lecture was exactly what we needed to hear. Once again, thank you, sir.
Thank you.